Through the thick smoke of a raging apartment fire, veteran firefighter Jack Sullivan does what he's done for 20 years. He charges in when others run out. But this rescue is different. On the top floor, he finds a terrified young girl, her eyes reflecting the dancing flames around them. As he carries her to safety, she whispers a single word that stops his heart: "Dad." In that moment, the walls he's built around his past begin to crumble. What follows isn't just a story of rescue, it's a tale of redemption as Jack discovers the girl is heir to a fortune that's been waiting for the right moment to find its way home to him. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. What would you do if destiny gave you a second chance at being a father? Dawn breaks over Station 12 as Jack Sullivan methodically inspects his gear, each movement practiced and precise. His badge, polished but bearing the subtle marks of 20 years of service, catches the early morning light. At 52, his face carries the weathered lines of a man who's seen too much, but his eyes remain sharp, alert, ready. "You're early again, Jack," Captain Martinez calls out, crossing the apparatus floor with coffee in hand. It's not really a comment. Jack's always early, has been since the day his wife Sarah died 12 years ago. The firehouse became his sanctuary. Work is salvation. "Sleep's overrated, Cap," Jack responds, running his hand over the truck's pristine exterior. The morning check is his ritual, a meditation that keeps the memories at bay. He pauses at his reflection in the chrome, seeing ghost images of a younger man, one who had a family, a different life. The yellowed newspaper clipping in his locker tells the story he can't bring himself to share anymore. Local teacher dies in highway accident, leaves behind husband and daughter. He'd folded it carefully, creases worn from years of handling, though he hasn't looked at it in months. Some wounds never fully heal. Squad 12, breakfast's up. The call breaks through his reverie. Mike Chen, the station's newest firefighter, has taken over kitchen duties. The kid's enthusiasm reminds Jack of himself, before life taught him how quickly happiness can turn to ashes. In the kitchen, the usual morning banter flows around him. Jack takes his usual seat at the corner of the table, close enough to be present, but maintaining the careful distance he's cultivated over the years. "You guys hear about that new high-rise going up on Westbrook?" Chen asks, passing around plates of eggs. 40 stories. Better hope we never get a call there. "Structure fires are structure fires, kid," Jack says, his voice carrying the weight of experience. Size just changes the strategy, not the principle. The others nod, knowing Jack's reputation. He's the one you want leading when things go sideways, the steady hand when chaos erupts. What they don't know is how he learned that control. Through nights of helpless grief, through the bitter reality of being unable to save the one person who mattered most. The morning progresses with equipment checks, training drills, and the endless maintenance that fills the quiet hours between calls. Jack moves through it all with mechanical efficiency, his mind occasionally drifting to the small house he returns to each night, walls still adorned with photos he can't bring himself to take down. A picture on his phone catches his eye during a brief break. His daughter Emma, 12 years old, smiling at the camera. The last photo he has of her, taken just weeks before the custody battle that tore his world apart. He doesn't know what she looks like now, where she lives, whether she remembers him as anything more than the father who lost her mother and then lost her too. The station's alarm system shatters the relative quiet. Structure fire, Park View Apartments, impossible entrapment. Jack's already moving as the details come through, muscle memory taking over as he dons his gear. This is where he's most alive now, in the moments between the call and the chaos. "Sullivan, take point on search and rescue." Captain Martinez orders as they roll out. Jack acknowledges with a short nod, his mind already mapping out the approach. The morning sun disappears behind thick black smoke as they round the corner onto Madison Avenue. The Park View apartments loom ahead, flames already visible from the upper floors. Jack watches the smoke patterns, reading them like a familiar language. Something about this fire feels different, though he can't put his finger on why. As he adjusts his mask and air supply, a flicker of his old life surfaces. Emma's voice calling him her hero, Sarah's worried smile when he'd leave for a shift. Focus, he mutters to himself, pushing the memories away. Right now, someone needs the firefighter, not the broken man behind the badge. As the truck screeches to a halt, Jack steps down, ready to do what he's done for 20 years, run toward danger while others run away. The weight of his gear is familiar, grounding. Each step toward the burning building is a step away from the past, toward the next moment where he might make a difference, might save someone else from experiencing the loss that defines his own life. What he doesn't know, what he can't know, is that this fire will change everything, not just for the people trapped inside, but for the carefully constructed walls he's built around his heart. Smoke billows from shattered windows as Jack enters. The building, the thermal imaging camera cutting through the darkness. Behind him, Chen maintains the guide rope, their lifeline in this maze of heat and shadow. The building's security cameras capture their advance, 3 figures moving with purpose through the chaos, a moment that will later be watched and rewatched as the story unfolds. "Fire department, call out!" Jack's voice echoes through the hallway. The response comes faint but clear, a child's cry from somewhere above. 6th floor, he radios back to command. Moving up. The stairwell is a chimney of heat and smoke. Each step calculated against failing infrastructure. Jack's mind stays focused, pushing away the echoes of similar rescues, the ones that ended in grief rather than triumph. "Help, please!" The voice is closer now, high and frightened. Jack follows the sound, Chen and Rodriguez right behind him. The 6th floor hallway is a gauntlet of flame and debris. "In here!" The cry comes from apartment 612. The door is hot, but not compromised. Jack signals Rodriguez to bring the Halligan tool. "Fire department, stand back from the door." The lock gives way with a screech of protesting metal. Inside, the smoke hangs thick near the ceiling, but Jack can see her. A young girl huddled in the corner of what must be her bedroom, clutching a stuffed rabbit. "I've got you," Jack says, moving toward her. "Everything's going to be okay." The words are automatic, practiced, but something about her eyes stops him short. They're familiar in a way that tugs at his heart. She reaches for him without hesitation. Trust overriding fear. As he lifts her, she wraps her arms around his neck, face pressing into his coat. The stuffed rabbit dangles forgotten from one hand. Primary search of apartment 612 complete. 1 victim, pediatric. Rodriguez radios. Moving to extract. The journey down is treacherous. The fire has spread, cutting off their original entry point. Jack holds the girl close, feeling her rapid heartbeat against his chest. She hasn't made a sound since he picked her up, but her grip remains fierce. "Secondary exit, east stairwell," Chen calls out, already moving to clear the path. The smoke is thicker now, reducing visibility to arm's length. Jack keeps one hand on the wall, counting doors, marking their progress. They're 2 floors from safety when the girl finally speaks, her voice muffled against his coat. "I knew you'd come." Something in her tone makes Jack's stride falter. Chen glances back, concerned, but Jack waves him forward. The exit is close now. The relative clarity of the lower floors beckoning, they burst into the morning air to a chorus of cheers and shouts. Emergency lights paint the scene in alternating red and white as Jack carries her toward the waiting ambulance. It's only when he tries to set her down that she looks up at him properly, really looks at him, and says the word that will change everything. "Dad!" The world stops. Jack's hands go numb. Behind him, the building continues to burn, but all he can hear is that single word echoing in his ears. He looks at her face, really looks, and sees Sarah's eyes looking back at him, sees Emma's smile, sees 12 years of loss and longing reflected in a face he should have known immediately. Emma? His voice breaks on the name. But there's no time for more. The paramedics are there, efficient and professional, checking vitals, placing an oxygen mask over her face. Jack stands frozen, watching as they work, his mind struggling to process what just happened. "Sullivan!" Captain Martinez's voice cuts through his daze. "We need you back in. Second team's reporting structural concerns on the north side." Jack hesitates, torn between duty and the miracle he's just discovered. Emma's eyes find his again, and she tries to reach for him, but the paramedics gently keep her in place. "Go," she says, voice muffled by the oxygen mask. "I'll be here. I promise." He backs away, every step an effort, until duty and training take over and he turns to rejoin his team. The security cameras continue their silent vigil, recording these moments that will soon become part of a story neither of them could have imagined. The day a routine rescue turned into a reunion 12 years in the making. The hospital corridor stretches endlessly before Jack as he strides toward the pediatric ward, still in his smoke-stained uniform. The fire is out, the building secured, but his heart hasn't stopped racing since that moment of recognition. A nurse points him toward room 412, her eyes widening at his appearance. Emma sits propped up in bed, an oxygen monitor clipped to her finger. When she sees him, her hand moves to the locket around her neck, a silver heart he remembers giving her for her 10th birthday. She opens it, revealing a photo he hasn't seen in 12 years, himself, younger and smiling, holding a fishing rod beside a mountain lake. "You kept it," he manages, his voice rough. "Aunt Claire tried to take it once," Emma says, her voice stronger now. "I wouldn't let her." The name hits Jack like a physical blow. Claire Thompson, Sarah's sister, the woman who'd taken Emma away after the custody battle. The woman who'd convinced the courts he was too damaged by grief to raise his own daughter. How? He starts, then stops, overwhelmed by questions. "I never forgot you," Emma says, fingers still wrapped around the locket. "Aunt Claire said it was better if we had a clean break, but I kept tracking you. The internet makes it pretty easy, you know." A small smile plays at her lips. So like her mother's, it makes his chest ache. "I tried to find you," Jack says, sinking into the chair beside her bed. "For years, I tried. Claire moved, changed numbers." "I know." Emma's voice is gentle. "I found the private investigator reports in her office last year. That's when I started planning." Jack leans forward. "Planning?" "Before Emma can answer, rapid footsteps echo in the hallway. Claire Thompson bursts into the room, designer handbags swinging wildly, her face flushed with panic. She freezes at the sight of Jack. "You," she breathes, then composes herself. "Emma, darling, are you all right? When the school called—" "I'm fine, Aunt Claire," Emma interrupts, her hand tightening around the locket. "Thanks to Dad." Claire flinches at the word. Behind her, a man in an expensive suit appears, tablet in hand. "Ms. Thompson, perhaps we should—" "Not now, Richard," Claire snaps, then turns back to Jack. "You need to leave. You have no right." "He has every right," Emma says, her voice suddenly stronger, more adult than her 14 years. "And you know it. That's why Mum set it up the way she did." Jack looks between them, confusion mounting. Claire's face has gone pale, while the man, Richard, taps urgently at his tablet. "Emma," Claire says, warning in her voice, "we've discussed this." "No, you discussed it. You decided." Emma turns to Jack, her eyes bright with unshed tears. "Mom left letters and instructions about everything, the trust fund, the estate, all of it. She knew she was sick, Dad. She knew long before the accident. The world tilts on its axis." Jack grips the edge of the chair, memories rewriting themselves. Sarah's strange mood in those final weeks, the mysterious appointments, the way she'd insisted on updating their will. "Miss Thompson," Richard interjects smoothly, "given the circumstances, perhaps we should contact Mrs. Sullivan's attorneys." The terms of the trust are quite specific about this scenario. What terms? Jack asks, finding his voice. What trust? Emma reaches for his hand, her smaller fingers wrapping around his. Mom left everything to me, she says softly, but with conditions. The money, the house in Vancouver, all of it. I couldn't access any of it until I was old enough to choose where I wanted to live. With Aunt Claire, or with you. The revelation hangs in the air like smoke. Claire sinks into a chair, her carefully maintained facade cracking. We were trying to protect you, she whispers, though it's unclear whether she's speaking to Emma or to herself. I'm 14 now, Emma continues, her grip on Jack's hand tightening. The age Mom specified. And I choose my dad. Outside the window, the late afternoon sun breaks through the clouds, casting long shadows across the hospital room. In Emma's locket, the old photograph catches the light. A moment frozen in time when they were still a family. A moment that, somehow, has found its way back to now. The law office of Henderson and Associates occupies the entire 42nd floor of a downtown high-rise. Jack feels out of place in his hastily changed clothes, the collar of his borrowed shirt too tight. Emma sits beside him, her posture perfect, clearly comfortable in this world of gleaming glass and mahogany that Claire created for her. Patricia Henderson, a silver-haired woman with keen eyes, spreads documents across the conference table. The trust papers are thick, Sarah's signature bold against the legal jargon. Jack's hands shake slightly as he reaches for them. Mrs. Sullivan was very specific, Patricia explains, her voice gentle but professional. The trust was structured to protect both Emma's inheritance and her right to choose her future when she reached 14. Claire sits across the table, her attorney Richard Fleming at her elbow. Her perfectly manicured nails tap an irregular rhythm on the polished wood. Sarah didn't know what she was doing, Claire interjects. She was sick, emotional. Sarah knew exactly what she was doing. Patricia cuts in firmly. I have 12 recorded meetings with her documenting her wishes and reasoning. She retrieves a USB drive from her desk, including this. The large screen on the wall flickers to life. Sarah's face appears, thinner than Jack remembers, but still beautiful, her eyes bright with purpose. The timestamp shows 3 weeks before the accident. If you're watching this, Sarah begins, then Emma has found her way back to Jack. She pauses, collecting herself. Claire, I know you'll be angry, but this was always the plan. You gave Emma stability when she needed it most, when Jack was drowning in grief, and She touches her chest, where the cancer was already growing. I couldn't bear to tell either of them how little time I had left. Jack can't breathe. Emma's hand finds his under the table. The money isn't just money, Sarah continues. It's opportunity. A chance for our daughter to have both the security you've given her, Claire, and the love that Jack, despite his pain, despite his flaws, has never stopped feeling for her. She leans closer to the camera. Emma, my darling girl, if you're choosing this path, trust your heart. And Jack, her voice softens, come back to life. Our daughter needs her father, not just his memory. The video ends. The silence that follows feels sacred, heavy with years of unspoken truths. Patricia clears her throat. The trust contains approximately $28 million, the Vancouver property, and controlling interest in several of Sarah's family's companies. Emma is the primary beneficiary, with stipulations for educational and living expenses. However, she pauses, looking directly at Claire, the guardianship transfer requires no court intervention. Sarah's instructions are legally binding. This is absurd, Claire's attorney protests. Mr. Sullivan has no experience managing this kind of wealth. The disruption to Emma's education, her social connections. I can go to school anywhere, Emma interrupts. Her voice is quiet but firm. The money doesn't matter, Mr. Fleming. I want my dad. Claire stands abruptly, her chair rolling backward. You have no idea what we've sacrificed for you, Emma. The investments we've made in your future, the investment Sarah's money made. Patricia corrects gently. All properly documented and audited, I assure you. Jack finally finds his voice. I don't want the money. I just want my daughter. It's not that simple, Patricia says, pulling out another document. Sarah was adamant that Emma's inheritance include proper financial guidance, which is why, she slides the paper toward Jack, she left very specific instructions about your role as co-trustee. The document outlines a carefully structured transition, joint custody with Claire for 6 months, financial management training for Jack, regular check-ins with the trust advisors. Sarah had thought of everything, planned for this moment even, as she was dying. She never gave up on either of you, Patricia says softly, watching Jack and Emma absorb the implications. Even when it seemed like all was lost, she was building this bridge back to each other. Outside the wall of windows, the city stretches out under the afternoon sun. Somewhere out there is Jack's modest apartment, his life of careful isolation. Somewhere out there is the mansion where Claire raised Emma in privileged solitude. And, somewhere between these extremes, Sarah had envisioned a new future for them all. Claire sinks back into her chair, defeat finally showing in the slump of her shoulders. She always was the smartest of us, she whispers, almost to herself. Even at the end, Jack stands in the doorway of his spare room, which has served as storage for the past decade, now hastily cleared for Emma. The furniture is basic, a bed from IKEA, a desk, a lamp. Nothing like the luxury she's used to, but Emma doesn't seem to notice as she unpacks her backpack, carefully placing a worn notebook on the desk. What's that? He asks, trying to bridge the awkward silence. Emma hesitates, then opens the notebook. It's a diary, its pages filled with her neat handwriting. I've been writing to you, she says quietly, since I was 10. Everything I wanted to tell you, but couldn't. Jack's throat tightens. He moves closer, seeing entries dated through the years. Dad, I won first place in the science fair today. Dad, I hate my new school. Dad, I saw you on the news today, saving that family. May I? He asks, reaching for the diary. Emma nods, watching his face as he reads random entries. Her words paint a picture of the years he missed. Her triumphs, her loneliness, her quiet determination to find him again. I kept track of everything, she explains. Every news article about your rescues, every mention of Station 12. Aunt. Claire thought I was just interested in firefighting, but she manages a small smile. I was mapping my way back to you. A call comes from the kitchen, Captain Martinez's wife, Anna, busy preparing dinner. She'd insisted on helping them. Settle in, understanding instinctively how overwhelming this first evening might be. Smells good, Emma comments, clearly grateful for the interruption. They move to the kitchen, where Anna has transformed Jack's bachelor sparse space into something warm and inviting. Steam rises from a pot of her famous pozole, and fresh tortillas warm on the stovetop. In my family, Anna says, handing Emma plates to set the table, we believe good food makes any place feel like home. Jack watches as his daughter navigates his small kitchen, noting how she carefully memorizes where everything goes. She's trying so hard to fit into his world, this girl who grew up in mansions and attended private schools. I should warn you, he says, attempting humor, I'm not much of a cook. Lots of takeout in our future. I can cook, Emma offers. Aunt Claire insisted I take classes. French cuisine mainly. She pauses. But I like pizza too. The normalcy of the moment, discussing food preferences, almost breaks him. How many everyday conversations have they missed? After dinner, Anna tactfully departs, leaving father and daughter to figure out their new routine. Emma retrieves her phone, showing him an app she's created. It's a schedule, she explains. For us, I've mapped out your shift rotations from the station's public calendar, my school requirements, and, she hesitates, the trust's mandatory meetings. Jack studies the complex calendar, amazed at her organization. You've really thought this through. I had to, she says softly. Aunt Claire doesn't like losing control. If we're going to make this work, we need to prove we can handle it. All of it. Her words remind him that she's not just his little girl. Anymore, she's grown into someone capable and strategic, shaped by circumstances he never wanted for her. Emma, he starts, then stops, searching for the right words. I know this isn't the life you're used to. No, she interrupts. This is exactly the life I wanted. The life Mum wanted for us. She pulls out her locket again, running her thumb over its surface. We just had to wait for the right time. The evening settles around them, the city's noise a distant hum. In the small apartment that's never felt like much of a home, Jack watches his daughter curl up on his worn couch with her diary, adding a new entry to its pages. He realizes that maybe home isn't about the space at all. It's about finally having the right person to share it with. The manila envelope sits between them on the kitchen table, yellow with age, its contents spilling onto the worn formica. Divorce papers, custody agreements, court orders, the paper trail of a family's dissolution. Emma found them in Claire's study before leaving, took them without asking. Now she watches her father's face as he confronts these ghosts of paper. And ink. I never signed these, Jack says quietly, touching the divorce petition. Your mother filed, but I couldn't bring myself to make it final. I know. Emma pulls out another document, this one newer. Mum never filed them either. Technically, you were still married when she died. The revelation hits him like a physical blow. All these years, he'd assumed. Claire told me you abandoned us. Emma continues, her voice careful. But that's not true, is it? Jack closes his eyes, memories flooding back. It was 3 months after the diagnosis, he begins. Your mother started pushing me away. I thought it was the depression the doctors warned us about. I didn't know that she was dying. Emma's voice cracks slightly. She told me she needed space, that I was suffocating her with my concern. His laugh is hollow. I was a firefighter who couldn't save his own wife. Do you know what that felt like? Emma pulls out a letter, its paper soft from repeated folding and unfolding. She wrote this the day she asked you to leave. I found it last year. Jack's hands shake as he takes the letter. Sarah's handwriting flows across the page. My dearest Jack, by now you're gone, thinking I've pushed you away out of fear or depression. The truth is so much harder. The cancer has spread faster than we expected. Months, not years. I can't bear to watch you go through another loss. Not after your parents, not after everything. Claire has agreed to take Emma when it's over. You'll hate me for this, but better you hate me while I'm alive than destroy yourself watching me die. All my love, Sarah. She was trying to protect you, Emma says softly. Both of us, really. She knew what watching her die would do to you, and she knew Claire could provide stability for me. While I was drowning in grief, Jack finishes, remembering those dark days. Claire used that in court, said I was unstable, unfit. But Mom had already arranged everything. Emma draws out one final document, dated 2 days before the accident. The trust, the conditions, the timing. She knew you'd need time to heal, and she knew I'd need time to understand. The puzzle pieces of the past click into place. Sarah hadn't abandoned him. She'd orchestrated an elaborate plan to save him. From watching her die, to ensure their daughter's security, to give them both time to heal before finding their way back to each other. There's more, Emma says, pulling up a video on her phone. It's Sarah again, but earlier than the trust video. Still healthy. She's in their old backyard, the autumn leaves falling around her. Jack, if you're seeing this, Emma has found her way home to you. I know you'll be angry with me, and you have every right. But everything I did, the lies, the separation, all of it, was to give you both a chance at happiness after I'm gone. Claire will give Emma the stability she needs while you heal. And you will heal, my love. You're stronger than you know. Sarah's image smiles, tears in her eyes. I couldn't bear to see the light go out of your eyes, watching me fade away. Better a clean break, a chance to remember me whole and well. But now it's time for you both to live again. The money, the house, their tools, nothing more. What matters is the love that never died, the family that's waiting to be rebuilt. The video ends. Jack stares at the dark screen. Years of pain and misunderstanding transforming into something else. Understanding, forgiveness, even a kind of peace. She loved you until the end, Emma says, taking his hand. Aunt Claire told me once, when she thought I was asleep, that Mom's last words were about you. She said, tell Jack to find his way back to joy. Outside, a siren wails in the distance, a sound that's defined Jack's life for 20 years. But for the first time since Sarah's death, it doesn't feel like an escape, it feels like what it is, a call to help others while life itself waits patiently at home. The threatening letter arrives on a Tuesday morning, mixed in with Jack's usual mail. No return address, expensive paper, typed with precision. Your daughter's inheritance belongs to those who've earned it. Step aside now or regret it later. The police detective studies it under the bright lights of Station 12's kitchen, her expression grave. No fingerprints, Detective Maya Rodriguez says, sliding the letter into an evidence bag. Professional job, classic intimidation tactic. She looks at Jack. Who knows about the trust? Claire's legal team, the trustees. Jack runs a hand through his hair. The firms Sarah had controlling interest in. Speaking of which, Captain Martinez interrupts, tablet in hand. You're trending, Jack. He turns the screen to show a business news article. Mystery firefighter inherits control of Thompson Industries through long-lost daughter. Jack's stomach drops. How did they? Public records, Maya explains. The trust documents were filed. Last week, someone's been digging. Emma sits quietly at the kitchen table, her school tablet open to a social media page. They found me too, she says, turning the screen. Her private school photos are plastered across investment forums, speculation, running wild about the firefighter's daughter worth millions. We need to get ahead of this, Maya says, making notes. Security assessments, background checks on recent contact attempts. There's more, Emma interrupts, pulling up her email. 3 investment firms have reached out already, offering exclusive opportunities. And this morning at school, a man tried to talk to me at the gate. Said he was an old friend of Mom's. Jack's protective instincts flare. Description: tall, expensive suit. Had a card from Griffin Capital Partners. Emma's voice is steady, but her hands shake slightly. I didn't take it. Smart girl, Maya. Approves. Griffin Capital's been trying to acquire Thompson Industries for years. They're not known for taking no for an answer. Captain Martinez steps closer, his presence reassuring. She can stay here during your shifts, Jack. The station's secure, and we look after our own. We should consider private security, Maya adds, at least until we identify the main players. Emma's tablet pings with another notification. Her face pales as she reads it. Aunt Claire's being sued by Thompson Industries shareholders. They're claiming she hid Mom's estate from them deliberately. Jack moves to look at the legal document on Emma's screen, but before he can read it, the station's alarm blares. Structure fire 3 blocks away. Go, Maya says, already pulling out her phone. I'm calling in additional units to watch the station. Emma will be safe here. Jack hesitates, torn between duty and protection. Emma stands, hugging him fiercely. I'll be fine. They need you out there. As Jack suits up, his mind races. The letter sits heavy in his thoughts. Not just a threat, but a declaration of war from people used to winning at any cost. He checks his phone one last time before heading out. 3 missed calls from unknown numbers. 2 voicemails from investment consultants. The firefighters mount up, sirens wailing to life. Through the truck's window, Jack watches Emma standing with Maya and Martinez, the station's solid walls promising temporary safety. But he knows better than most. Sometimes the most dangerous fires are the ones you don't see coming, the ones that smolder in hidden places, waiting for their moment to explode. "Stay sharp out there," Martinez says over the radio as they roll out. "Something tells me this is just the beginning." Jack adjusts his gear, forcing his focus to the immediate task. But part of him wonders if Sarah foresaw this too. If somewhere in her careful planning, she knew that protecting their daughter would require more than just legal documents and trust funds. It would require the kind of strength that comes from facing fires both literal and metaphorical, the kind of courage that runs in Emma's blood, their blood. The threatening letter rides in Maya's evidence bag, its expensive paper and professional typing, a reminder that some threats don't come with sirens and smoke. They come in business suits and legal briefs, in carefully worded emails and unmarked envelopes. But Jack spent 20 years running into burning buildings. He's not about to back down now, not when he's finally got something worth fighting. Vodema's school presentation board stands propped in the station's common room, covered in photos and newspaper clippings. The title reads, "Modern-Day Heroes, First Responders, and Community Impact." Jack watches from the doorway as she puts the finishing touches on a section about Station 12. "It's due tomorrow," she explains, carefully mounting a photo of Jack in full gear. "We're supposed to write about someone who inspires us." She pauses, smoothing the edge of a news clipping. "I've been working on it since before the fire. Since before I found you again. The project is meticulous. Rescue statistics, incident reports, community outreach programs. But it's the personal touches that catch Jack's throat. Candid shots of the station crew, quotes from people they've saved, a hand-drawn diagram of a fire truck with all its equipment carefully labeled. "You really did your research," he manages. "I had to get it right." Emma steps back, studying her work. "Aunt Claire wanted me to do it on some CEO or philanthropist, but I always knew who my real hero was." The moment is interrupted by Chen bringing in coffee and the morning paper. The business section headline makes them both wince. "Thompson Industries stock plummets amid succession crisis." "Don't let them get to you," Chen says, handing Emma a hot chocolate. "Rich people problems, right?" But Emma's already pulling up. Stock reports on her tablet. "The shareholders are panicking. 3 board members resigned yesterday." She looks at Jack. "They're saying Mom's plan put the company at risk." Jack sits beside her, noting how naturally she navigates through financial data that might as well be Greek to him. "You understand all this?" "Had to," she shrugs. Aunt Claire's idea of bedtime stories was quarterly reports. Her attempt at humor doesn't quite hide the tension in her voice. "But this is different. These people, they're not just afraid of losing money. They're afraid of you. Me, a firefighter with controlling interest in their company, through a teenager they can't control." Emma manages a small smile. "You're their worst nightmare." Before Jack can respond, Captain Martinez enters with Detective Rodriguez. Maya's expression is serious as she sets down a folder. "Background checks came back on those investment firms," she says. "Griffin Capital's been busy. They've hired private investigators, reached out to Emma's old teachers, even tried to access Sarah's medical records. They're looking for leverage." Emma says quietly, "Anything to challenge Mom's competency when she set up the trust." Jack marvels at her composure. This daughter who can discuss corporate takeover attempts with the same focus she brings to her school project. But he catches the slight tremor in her hands as she adds another clipping to her presentation. "Your mother knew what she was doing," Maya assures them. "The trust is solid, but these people," she hesitates, "they play hardball." Emma turns back to her project, adjusting a photo of the station crew. "Did you know Dad's team has the highest successful rescue rate in the district?" Her voice carries forced brightness. "And they've won the Community Service Award 3 years running." Jack recognizes the deflection for what it is, a child seeking comfort in facts and figures, in the solid reality of her father's work. He moves to help her with the display, noting how she's arranged the timeline of his career alongside Station 12's achievements. "Tell me about this one," he says, pointing to a photo he doesn't recognize. Emma's face lights up. "That's from the elementary school program last year. I found it online. You were teaching kids about fire safety. She touches the image gently. You're smiling in this one, really smiling. It's how I knew you hadn't forgotten how to be happy. The simple observation hits him hard. He had smiled that day, remembering how he used to practice fire safety with her when she was small. Even not knowing where she was, he'd never stopped being a father. The station's morning light streams through the windows, catching the edges of Emma's project. Among articles about corporate power plays and financial intrigue, her tribute to everyday heroism stands as a reminder of what really matters. Not the money or the threats, but the simple truth of a daughter's faith in her father. Detective Maya Rodriguez spreads the private investigator's file across her desk, each page telling part of a disturbing story. Surveillance photos, financial records, background checks, some dating back months before the fire that reunited Jack and Emma. This wasn't opportunistic. This was planned. They've been watching both of you, Maya explains, showing Jack a series of photos. Even before Emma made contact, someone knew about the trust's conditions and was waiting. Jack studies a photo of himself leaving the station 3 months ago. Another shows Emma at her old school. How did they know? That's where it gets interesting. Maya pulls out a document with familiar letterhead. Griffin Capital didn't just try to buy Thompson Industries, they tried to marry into it. Their CEO proposed a merger to Sarah 6 months before her diagnosis. Emma, doing homework nearby, looks up sharply. Mum never mentioned that. Because she turned them down flat. Maya taps another document. But not before they got a look at the company's succession plans. They knew about the trust, just not the specifics. So they've been waiting for Emma to turn 14, Jack concludes. Waiting for the trust to activate. And now, they're not just facing a teenage heiress they could manipulate, Maya adds. They're facing you. Emma moves closer, studying the surveillance photos. Her tablet chimes with another email alert. More shareholders threatening legal action, but her focus is on a different detail. Look at the timestamps, she says. The photos of Dad at the station, they match the fire calls exactly. Jack and Maya lean in. Emma's right, the surveillance shows a pattern aligned perfectly with Station 12's emergency responses. Someone on the inside, Jack mutters. Someone. Who knows our dispatch schedule? Maya's already pulling up personnel files. I'll cross-reference department employees with Griffin Capital connections, but there's something else. She reveals another document, this one heavily redacted. Sarah's medical records. Someone accessed them last week using administrative credentials from her old hospital. They're trying to prove she wasn't competent, Emma says quietly. When she set up the trust, Jack watches his daughter process this, seeing the weight of adult concerns on her young shoulders. But there's steel in her voice when she speaks again. They don't understand Mom at all, she continues. Everything she did to protect us, even now. She pulls up a folder on her tablet. Look what I found in the trust documents. The file contains a series of contingency plans, each meticulously detailed. Sarah hadn't just left money and property, she'd left instructions, fail-safes, and protective measures that only now begin to make sense. Your mother, Maya says softly, was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. A knock at the door makes them all turn. Captain Martinez enters with a fresh report. Got something? That guy who tried to approach Emma at school? Facial recognition got a hit. Former military, now works private security for Griffin Capital, they all say together. They're escalating, Maya notes, adding the new information to her file, moving from surveillance to direct contact. Jack's phone buzzes, another unknown number. The voicemail icon shows 15 unheard messages. Emma's tablet keeps pinging, with alerts from financial news sites, each headline more aggressive than the last. We need to get ahead of this, Maya decides. Change the narrative. She looks at Emma. Your school presentation tomorrow. What if we use it? Emma tilts her head, considering. A story about a firefighter and his daughter, instead of a corporate power struggle. Exactly. Humanize it. Make it harder for them to play hardball, without looking like bullies. Jack watches his daughter think it through, seeing Sarah's strategic mind at work behind her eyes. We'd need press coverage, Emma says slowly. But careful coverage. On our terms. Maya's already making calls. I know a reporter at the Chronicle. She owes me one, and she loves human interest stories. Captain Martinez grins. Kids getting pretty good at this corporate chess game. Had good teachers, Emma replies. But she's looking at Jack when she says it. Mom taught me how to think ahead. Dad taught me what's worth fighting for. The afternoon sun slants through Maya's office window, casting long shadows over the scattered evidence of their ongoing battle. Jack sees Emma gathering her homework, carefully organized despite the chaos around them. She's adapting, he realizes, finding strength not just in Sarah's careful planning, but in the everyday courage she's inherited from both her parents. No, he says, helping her pack up. Your mother would be proud of how you're handling all this. Emma zips her backpack, then straightens one of the surveillance photos on Maya's desk. She'd be proud of both of us, she corrects. We're finally becoming the family she knew we could be. The security footage plays on Detective Rodriguez's laptop in stark black and white. 3 men in business suits approach Emma outside her school. She does everything right, stays in public view, keeps her distance, reaches for her phone. But they're professionals, smooth and practiced. One creates a distraction while another moves to cut off her escape route. Jack grips the edge of Maya's desk as he watches. On screen, Emma backs away, but the third man is already circling behind her. Then something unexpected happens. Emma doesn't panic. Instead, she does exactly what Jack taught her, makes a scene. Fire! Her voice rings clear through the footage. Fire in the school! Students and teachers pour out of nearby buildings. The men retreat, melting away as witnesses flood the area. The whole attempt takes less than 40 seconds. Smart girl, Maya says, freezing the frame on one of the men's vases. Got us a clean shot of our friend from Griffin Capital, plus 2 new players. Captain Martinez leans closer to the screen. Ex-military based on their movement patterns, private security types. They weren't trying to hurt her, Emma says quietly from her seat. They wanted to talk, to pressure me about the company. She pulls out her phone, showing them a text. Received moments after the attempt. Consider this a professional courtesy. Next time won't be so polite. Jack starts to speak, but Emma cuts him off. I'm okay, Dad. Really. I remembered everything you taught me. The station's security camera feeds cycle on another monitor. Martinez insisted on upgrading their surveillance after the first threats. Through them, they can see Chen and Rodriguez patrolling the perimeter, while other off-duty firefighters maintain casual but alert positions around the building. They're getting desperate, Maya notes, adding the new footage to her evidence file. The shareholders' meeting is in 3 days. If they can't force a change in voting rights before then, they lose their chance at a hostile takeover. Emma finishes. She's been studying corporate law, preparing for her role as trust beneficiary. Mom's shares stay locked in the trust, and I maintain controlling interest. Jack watches his daughter, marveling at how she balances terms like hostile takeover with the normal concerns of a teenager. Her homework sits half-finished beside Maya's laptop, algebra mixed with stock reports. We're moving you both to a safe house, Maya decides, just until after the shareholders' meeting. No, Emma says firmly. That's what they want. To disrupt our lives, make us look unstable. She gestures to the stack of financial papers on the desk. The board's already questioning whether a firefighter and his teenage daughter can handle corporate responsibilities. If we run and hide, it proves them right, Jack finishes, understanding. Sarah's daughter indeed, always thinking 3 moves ahead. Martinez's radio crackles. Cap got movement on the north side. Black SUV, tinted windows, 3rd pass in 10 minutes. They all turn to the security feeds. The vehicle moves slowly past the station, its occupants hidden behind dark glass. Emma watches it with an unsettling calm, her hand unconsciously touching the locket around her neck. "They're trying to spook us," she says. "Classic intimidation, right, detective?" Maya nods, but her expression is grim. "Doesn't make it less dangerous." Jack moves to the window, his protective instincts warring with the pride he feels in his daughter's courage. The SUV makes another pass, slower this time. Inside the station, his fellow firefighters move with purposeful casualness, always keeping Emma in sight. "Your mother," he says quietly, "she prepared you for this, didn't she? All those business lessons with Claire?" "She knew what I'd be facing," Emma confirms. "But you're the one who taught me not to back down from bullies, even if you didn't." "No, you were teaching me?" She manages a small smile. "I used to watch news coverage of your rescues, the way you'd walk into danger to help others." The SUV finally pulls away, but they all know it'll be back. This is just the beginning. A test, a probe of their defenses. The real battle still lies ahead. The legal documents spread across the station's kitchen table tell a story of their own. Cease and desist orders, injunctions, formal complaints, a paper war to match the physical intimidation. Emma studies them with the same intensity Jack brings to analyzing a fire scene, looking for patterns, weaknesses, opportunities. "They made a mistake," she says suddenly, pulling out one particular filing. "Look at the dates on Griffin Capital's merger proposal. Compare them to Mom's medical records." Maya leans in, following Emma's logic. "The timing. They approached her after her diagnosis." "Exactly." Emma's voice carries a hint of triumph. "They knew she was sick. They tried to use that to force a merger." She pulls up hospital records on her tablet. "And I can prove it. They had someone inside the hospital feeding them information." Jack watches the pieces fall into place. That's why Sarah turned them down, and why she set up the trust the way she did. Emma's fingers fly over her tablet, connecting documents, building their case. She wasn't just protecting us. She was protecting the company from predators. The station's printer hums as Maya produces copies of their evidence. This changes things. Corporate espionage, medical privacy violations. These are criminal charges, not just civil complaints. "Captain." Martinez enters with fresh coffee and news. Chronicles running the story tomorrow. "Firefighter father and daughter stand against corporate raiders." They're leading with Emma's school presentation. The presentation board still stands in the corner, now accompanied by photos from the event. Emma speaking to her class about heroism and community service. Jack in his uniform beside her, the station crew showing support. The images went viral, reshaping the narrative just as they'd hoped. Public opinion's shifting, Maya notes, showing them social media trends. People love the idea of a firefighter protecting his daughter from corporate vultures. Griffin Capital's stock dropped 12 points since the story broke. "But they're not backing down," Jack adds, nodding toward the window where the black SUV makes another pass. Emma straightens a stack of legal papers, her expression determined. "Good, because neither are we." She pulls out a document they haven't seen before. Old corporate bylaws with Sarah's annotations in the margins. "Mum left us one more card to play." The bylaws reveal an obscure provision. Major organizational changes require approval from a special ethics committee. A committee Sarah had quietly established before her death, populated with people who shared her values. "Three guesses who holds the deciding vote now," Emma says with a small smile. Jack recognizes his wife's strategic thinking in their daughter's eyes. "You've been sitting on this, waiting for the right moment." "Timing is everything in corporate warfare," Emma quotes. "That's what Mom always said." She pauses, her confidence wavering slightly. "But I need your help with the next part." "Name it." "The ethics committee meets tomorrow. I have to present our case." She gestures to her school presentation. "But not like this. not as a kid playing at business. I need to show them what real leadership looks like. Jack understands immediately. You want to show them the firehouse, the team, people who risk their lives for others without asking about stock options? Emma nods. Exactly. Real heroes, real values, everything Mum wanted to protect. Maya's already making calls, arranging security. Martinez grins, seeing the strategy. Full dress uniforms, I'm thinking. Show them what real professionals look like. The kitchen fills with purpose as plans take shape. Emma moves between legal documents and her presentation notes, blending corporate strategy with genuine passion. Jack watches her work, seeing Sarah's intelligence and his own determination combined in their daughter. They think this is about money, Emma says quietly, pausing in her preparations. About power. But Mom knew better. She knew it's about people, about protecting what matters. She looks up at Jack. That's what firefighters do, right? Protect what matters. Jack pulls her into a hug, feeling her strength and vulnerability all at once. That's what family does, he corrects gently. And we're getting pretty good at it. Outside, the SUV makes another pass, but its menace feels diminished now. Tomorrow, they'll show the ethics committee, the shareholders, and Griffin Capital what real power looks like. Not the power of money or intimidation, but the power of a father and daughter united, protecting each other and the legacy Sarah left in their care. The original trust document lies open on Patricia Henderson's desk, its pages worn from frequent handling. But it's not the financial details that hold Jack and Emma's attention now. It's the personal letter attached to the final page, written in Sarah's hand, never before shared. My dearest Emma and Jack, if you're reading this together, then everything I hoped for has come to pass. The money, the company shares, the properties, these were never the real inheritance. They were tools, nothing more. Tools to protect you both until you could find your way back to each other. Emma, my brave girl, by now you've learned that true wealth isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in the courage to stand up for what's right, in the strength to protect those you love. Jack taught me that. Long before you were born, Jack, my love, our daughter has your heart, that perfect balance of strength and compassion that made me fall in love with you. The company needs that heart now, more than ever. Both of you do. What I leave you isn't just a fortune, it's a purpose. Emma's hand trembles as she traces her mother's handwriting. There's more, Patricia says, revealing another document. Instructions for the ethics committee, explaining her vision for the company's future. The corporate vision statement reads like a firefighter's oath. Protection, service, community. Sarah had been quietly restructuring the company for years, moving investments towards sustainable energy, medical research, public safety innovations. She was transforming it, Emma realizes, away from pure profit toward actual impact. Which is why Griffin Capital wants control so badly, Patricia explains. Your mother's changes threatened their entire business model. They make their money stripping companies, not building communities. Jack studies the investment portfolios, seeing them with new eyes. The firefighting equipment subsidiary, the research into first responder safety gear, all part of Mom's plan. Emma pulls up company records on her tablet. Look, she started these initiatives right after you joined the department. She was building something that would matter to both of us. Patricia produces another folder. Employee benefit programs, community outreach initiatives, scholarship funds. Sarah believed corporate power should serve the community, not exploit it. She knew you both would understand that better than any MBA, because Dad taught me what really matters, Emma says softly. And I taught him he didn't have to face everything alone. The trust's full scope becomes clear as they dig deeper. Sarah hadn't just left them money, she'd left them a mission. Each investment, each company division represented a chance to make real change. The shareholders' meeting isn't just about controlling interest, Emma realizes. It's about choosing what kind of company we want to be, what kind of legacy we want to build. Jack watches his daughter absorb this deeper truth, seeing her grasp Sarah's larger vision. The corporate raiders and hostile takeover attempts seem smaller now, petty, in the face of what they're really fighting for. Your mother, Patricia says, drawing out one final document, left specific instructions about this moment, about when you'd both understand the true purpose of her plan. The document outlines a new corporate structure. Emma as majority shareholder and future CEO, with Jack heading a newly expanded public safety division. But more than that, it details a philosophy of business as a force for good, of profit as a means rather than an end. She knew, Emma whispers. She knew we'd need both perspectives. Dad's frontline experience, my understanding of the business world, and both of your hearts, Patricia finishes. Sarah used to say that real leadership isn't about controlling people, it's about protecting them, serving them. Sound familiar, Jack? Jack thinks of countless fires, of running into danger to save strangers, of Emma using her knowledge to shield others from corporate predators. Different tools, same purpose. So what do we do now? Emma asks, looking between the trust document and her father. Jack picks up Sarah's letter, reading her words again. We do what firefighters do, he says simply. We protect what matters. We serve our community. We build something that lasts. Through the office windows, the city skyline stretches toward the horizon. Somewhere out there, Griffin Capital's executives are plotting their next move, thinking only of profit margins and market share. But here in this quiet room, father and daughter finally understand the true wealth Sarah left them, not in dollars and cents, but in purpose and possibility. The family photo album rests open on the station's conference table, its pages telling the story of what was lost and what's being rebuilt. Emma adds a new photo beside the old ones, herself and Jack at her school presentation, both smiling, both standing tall. The contrast with the earlier images is striking. No more forced poses or corporate events from her time with Claire. Just real moments, real connection. Ready? Jack asks, adjusting his dress uniform. The ethics committee meets in an hour. Almost. Emma reaches into her backpack, pulling out a familiar stuffed rabbit, the one she'd clutched during the fire. Mom gave him to me when I was 3, said he was brave. She smooths its singed fur. I think we both are now. The station crew assembles outside, dress uniforms pressed, badges gleaming. They're not just backdrop for Emma's presentation. They're living proof of her message about true leadership and community service. Maya arrives with final intelligence. Griffin Capital's CEO is already at the building, brought their whole legal team. Good, Emma says, surprising them. I want them to see this. She turns to Jack. Tell me again about your first rescue. Jack understands what she's doing. Gathering stories, real examples of leadership under pressure. Senior Living Facility, 2004. The sprinklers failed. And you went back in 3 times, Emma finishes. Not because it was protocol, but because every life mattered. She makes a note on her tablet. That's what they need to hear today. The presentation she's built isn't filled with profit projections or market analyses. Instead, it shows the impact of Sarah's quiet changes, improved safety equipment saving lives, research grants funding breakthrough treatments, community programs lifting up struggling neighborhoods. Mom's investments, Emma explains, pulling up the data, they look small on paper. A few million here, a research grant there. But look at the ripple effects. The numbers tell an impressive story. Lives saved by new emergency gear, children educated through scholarship programs, communities transformed by strategic development. Small investments yielding enormous human returns. Martinez enters with breaking news. Griffin Capital's stock dropped another 20 points. Seems their other takeover targets are getting nervous. They should be, Emma says, adding another photo to the album. The whole station crew surrounding her and Jack, a family bigger than blood. Because after today, Everyone will understand the difference between taking and building. Jack watches his daughter gather her materials, seeing Sarah's determination and his own sense of duty combined in her preparation. The stuffed rabbit sits atop her portfolio, a reminder of both vulnerability and courage. "You know," he says quietly, "your mother would be amazed by who you've become." "Who we've become," Emma corrects, gesturing to the photo album. "Look at us, Dad. Really look." The progression is clear in the photos, from Jack's isolated grief to Emma's controlled corporate world, to this new reality they're building together. Each image shows them growing stronger, not just as individuals, but as a team. The committee needs to see this too, Emma decides, carefully lifting the album. Not just the numbers and strategies, but the heart behind it all. Outside, the station's engines gleam in the morning sun, ready to respond at a moment's notice. Emma pauses to touch one as they head to the cars, a gesture Jack recognizes, grounding herself in the real world of service and sacrifice that shaped her father. "They think it's about the money," she says, echoing her mother's words, "about power and control. But Mom knew better, didn't she? She knew it's about people, about protection. About running toward danger to help others," Jack adds softly, "even when the danger wears expensive suits." Emma manages a smile, tucking the stuffed rabbit into her bag alongside corporate documents and legal briefs. The contrast strikes Jack as perfect, his daughter balancing childhood courage with adult responsibility. The station crew falls in behind them, a wall of pressed uniforms and quiet strength. They're not just supporting Jack now, they're standing with Emma, with Sarah's vision, with the idea that power should serve rather than dominate. Maya's phone buzzes with updates about Griffin Capital's preparations, but the news feels distant. Now, they have something stronger than legal teams and corporate threats. They have purpose. The court victory document lies before them in the Ethics Committee's chambers, its formal language declaring what they've known in their hearts. Sarah's vision will stand. Emma's hand finds Jack's as they read the final ruling together, surrounded by the Thompson Industries Ethics Committee and a gallery of witnesses. Robert Griffin, CEO of Griffin Capital, sits with his legal team, face flushed with barely contained rage. His attempted hostile takeover lies in ruins around him, demolished not by corporate maneuvering, but by something he never expected. A firefighter and his daughter armed with the truth. "Let the record show," Judge Marion intones, "that this committee finds Sarah Sullivan's trust provisions not only legally sound, but exemplary in their corporate governance structure. Furthermore, the attempted interference by Griffin Capital represents a clear violation of medical privacy laws and corporate ethics guidelines." Emma's presentation stands on an easel nearby, not the polished corporate slideshow Griffin's team expected, but a powerful testimony to real leadership. Photos of Jack's rescues, statistics about lives saved, evidence of Sarah's quiet work transforming the company into a force for good. "The Ethics Committee's decision is unanimous," Judge Marion continues. "The voting rights and corporate control shall remain as specified in Sarah Sullivan's original trust documents, with Emma Sullivan as primary beneficiary and her father, Jack Sullivan, heading the newly expanded Public Safety Division." Griffin's lawyer rises to object, but the judge cuts him off. "Furthermore, this committee recommends a full SEC investigation into Griffin Capital's business practices, particularly their pattern of exploiting medical information for corporate advantage." The gallery erupts in murmurs. Jack spots Claire in the back row, and their eyes meet briefly. She nods once, a gesture of acceptance, perhaps even respect. "There's one more matter," Emma says, rising. Her voice carries clear and strong through the chamber. "The committee should know that Thompson Industries will be establishing a new emergency services innovation fund dedicated to developing and providing cutting-edge safety equipment for firefighters and first responders nationwide." She unfolds a document of her own, a proposal she and Jack developed together, combining his frontline experience with her understanding of corporate resources. The Sarah Sullivan Memorial Fund will ensure that every department, not just wealthy urban areas, has access to the best possible safety gear, because that's what real corporate responsibility looks like, protecting those who protect others. Griffin storms out, his legal team scrambling to follow, but nobody pays them much attention. The Ethics Committee members are already reviewing Emma's proposal, their interest evident in their engaged questions and thoughtful nods. "Your mother," Patricia Henderson says quietly to Emma, "would be so proud of this moment." Jack watches. His daughter field questions from the committee with grace and confidence. She's no longer the scared girl he rescued from the fire, nor the corporate heiress Griffin tried to intimidate. She's become something else entirely, a leader who understands that true power lies in service to others. The chairman of the Ethics Committee rises. "I had the privilege of working with Sarah Sullivan for many years. She often spoke of her dream to transform this company from a mere profit center into a force for positive change. Today, I see that dream living on through her daughter and her husband." He lifts his gavel. "This committee hereby approves the Sarah Sullivan Memorial Fund and commends the new leadership for their commitment to corporate responsibility." This session is adjourned. As the room clears, Jack and Emma remain seated, letting the magnitude of their victory sink in. The court document that protected their future sits between them, but it's the old family photo in Emma's locket that catches Jack's eye. Sarah smiling, full of life and purpose, as if she knew this day would come. "She did know," Emma says, following his gaze. "She knew we'd need each other to make this work. The firefighter's courage, the corporate knowledge, the father's love," Jack adds softly, "and the daughter's heart." Outside the chamber windows, the city stretches away toward the horizon. Somewhere out there, another fire truck races to help someone in need. Another rescue, another chance to prove that real strength lies not in dominance, but in service. Emma gathers their documents, the court victory, her proposal, the ethics committee's approval. But it's the stuffed rabbit, sitting quietly in her bag, that she touches last. "Still brave," she whispers, and Jack knows she's not just talking about the toy. The house deed spreads across the kitchen island of their new home. Not a mansion like Claire's, but a warm craftsman with a front porch and enough room for both their needs. Jack traces the address with his finger, still amazed at how right. "This place feels. The last box is in," Emma calls from the front door. She's wearing one of his old station T-shirts, hair pulled back, paint smudges on her cheeks from working on her bedroom walls. Chen and Rodriguez said they'd come back tomorrow to help with the furniture. The station crew has been here all day, moving boxes, installing security systems, making the house a home. Their protective instincts haven't diminished just because the legal battle is over. "Your mother would love this place," Jack says, looking around at the built-in bookshelves, the big windows, the kitchen where they can actually cook together. "It's got her style." "That's because she bought it," Emma reveals, pulling out another document from her ever-present tablet. 8 years ago, she kept it through a shell company waiting for the right time. She manages a small smile. "Mum never did anything halfway. The house sits halfway between the station and Thompson Industries headquarters." Another piece of Sarah's careful planning. Close enough for Jack to maintain his firefighting duties while overseeing the new public safety division. Perfect for Emma to attend her new school while learning the corporate ropes. Speaking of not halfway, Emma continues, pulling up building plans on her tablet. The contractors approved the modifications for the home office. Dual workstations, secure servers, everything we need to manage things from here when we're not at the office. Jack marvels at how easily she balances these worlds now. Homework and corporate reports, college prep and board meetings. The frightened girl from the fire has blossomed into someone remarkable, You know, he says, we could have gotten something bigger, more secure. We don't need bigger, Emma responds, setting up her laptop at the kitchen island, her favorite spot already. We need real. Besides, this neighborhood has character. As if to prove her point, their next-door neighbor appears at the back fence, waving warmly. She's a retired teacher who remembers Sarah from the local education foundation. The whole street seems to hold pieces of Sarah's legacy, connections she wove long before they knew they'd need them. Mail's here, Emma notes, sorting through their first delivery. Including... Oh, she holds up an envelope with familiar handwriting. Claire? Emma nods, opening the letter carefully. A key falls out, the key to their old house. She's selling it, Emma reads. Says it's time for her to start fresh too. And, she pauses, emotion catching in her throat, she's donating the proceeds to the Sarah Sullivan Memorial Fund. Jack moves to read over her shoulder, seeing Claire's careful words of reconciliation. No accusations, no bitterness, just acceptance and a gentle release. That's the thing about new foundations, he says softly. They give everyone a chance to rebuild. Emma pins their new house deed to the bulletin board they've set up in the kitchen, their command center, as she calls it. Beside it hang their daily schedules, Jack's, shifts at the station, Emma's school commitments, their shared responsibilities at Thompson Industries. It's a lot, she admits, studying their packed calendar, managing everything, being what everyone needs us to be. Hey, Jack interrupts gently. We're not doing this alone. That's what your mother taught us, right? Strength in connection, not isolation. As if to emphasize his point, a truck horn sounds outside. Captain Martinez pulls up in his personal vehicle, toolbox in hand. Thought you might need help with those bookshelves, he calls out. His wife, Anna, follows, with what looks suspiciously like a homemade lasagna. Emma's phone chimes with messages from the corporate side. The ethics committee praising her first proposal, the board expressing enthusiasm for her fresh perspective. Two worlds, merging smoothly thanks to Sarah's careful groundwork. You're right, she says, watching more station crew members arrive, all eager to help. We're not alone. We're home. The charitable foundation document shines fresh from the printer, its purpose clearly stated, the Sarah Sullivan Foundation for Community Safety and Innovation. Emma sets it carefully on the conference room table at Thompson Industries, where the board members lean forward with interest. Our first initiative, she explains, standing tall in her carefully chosen blazer, is providing next-generation protective gear to under-resourced fire departments across the state. She nods to Jack, who steps forward with a prototype. This equipment, Jack demonstrates, holding up the enhanced breathing apparatus, cost more than some departments' yearly budgets, but it increases survival chances by 40%. He meets the board's eyes. How do we put a price on that? The prototype gleams under the conference room lights, the result of 3 months of collaboration between Thompson Industries, R&D team and actual firefighters. Real solutions born from real experience. The foundation will provide matching grants, Emma continues, bringing up the financials. But more importantly, we're changing how the company develops these products. No more boardroom theories. We're putting prototypes in the hands of first responders, getting real feedback from the field. A board member raises his hand. The profit margins on this model will be lower, Emma acknowledges, but the community impact will be higher. And isn't that what Mum always said was the true measure of corporate success? The question hangs in the air, challenging years of traditional business thinking. But the numbers on the screen tell a compelling story. Reduced casualties, improved response times, stronger community relationships. There's more, Jack adds, advancing the presentation. The foundation isn't just about equipment. We're establishing training programs, scholarships for first responders' families, community emergency preparedness initiatives. The scope of their vision unfolds. A comprehensive approach to community safety that bridges the gap between corporate resources and frontline needs. Each program bears Sarah's influence, Practical, focused, built to last. Station 12 will serve as our pilot program, Emma explains, but we've already had interest from departments in 3 states. She pulls up a map showing potential partner locations. Every red dot represents a community that could benefit from this initiative. The boardroom fills with quiet conversation as the members digest the proposal. Emma stands confident, fielding questions with the same calm she shows. In the emergency drills, another part of her new life, insisting on experiencing what her father faces. The Jack Sullivan Foundation, a senior board member muses. She would have loved this, the perfect blend of business sense and community service. Jack watches his daughter handle the discussion with growing pride. She moves seamlessly between technical specifications and financial projections, never losing sight of the human impact at the core of their mission. A noise outside draws their attention. Through the windows, they can see a fire truck passing on the street below. Emma doesn't miss a beat. That right there, she points, is why this matters. Every time those sirens sound, someone's life hangs in the balance. We have the power to improve those odds, not just here, but everywhere. The board's approval is unanimous. As the members file out, offering congratulations, Jack notices Emma touching the locket around her neck. Her connection to Sarah still strong in moments of triumph. "You know what this means?" she asks quietly, once they're alone. "Real change. Not just writing checks, but actually making a difference." Jack picks up the foundation document, its pages outlining a future Sarah would have been proud to see. "Your mother always said, true legacy isn't about preserving the past. It's about building a better future," Emma finishes. She gathers their materials, already planning next steps. "The equipment testing starts next week. Think the crew is ready?" "They've been waiting for this," Jack confirms. Martinez has already volunteered Station 12 for the first round of trials. They walk together through the corporate headquarters, their different worlds now perfectly aligned. Emma's security badge and Jack's station uniform no longer seem like a contrast. They're complementary symbols of protection and service. Outside, the city feels different. Every passing emergency vehicle, every siren in the distance represents not just immediate need, but future possibility. The Jack Sullivan Foundation will touch countless lives, create ripples of positive change they may never fully see. "Mom would love this," Emma says softly as they head home. "Not just what we're doing, but how we're doing it. Together." The new family portrait hangs in Station 12's common room, taken at the Foundation's first anniversary celebration. Emma and Jack stand in the center, surrounded by the entire crew, all in dress uniforms. But it's more than a formal photograph. It captures a moment of genuine joy, of family found and forged through fire. 1 year, Emma muses, adjusting her dress uniform. She insisted on having one made when she became an official station volunteer. Sometimes it feels like yesterday, sometimes like a lifetime ago. The station bustles with activity around them. They're hosting an open house, showcasing the new safety equipment developed through the Foundation. Local families mill about, children trying on miniature fire gear, community leaders discussing emergency preparedness programs. Jack watches Emma demonstrate the new breathing apparatus to a group of visiting firefighters from rural departments. She knows every technical specification, every test result, but more importantly, she knows why each feature matters, because she spent the year learning her father's world from the ground up. "Your daughter's something else," Captain Martinez says, joining Jack by the portrait. "Sarah would be proud of both of you." The station's walls tell the story of their year. Photos of Emma's high school graduation, where she gave the valedictorian speech about the true meaning of service, news clippings about the Foundation's work, a framed copy of the first grant provided to a small-town fire department. Claire appears in the station doorway, more relaxed than they've ever seen her. The past year has transformed her too. She's found her own path, teaching business ethics at the university and serving on the Foundation's board. "The governor's office called," she tells Emma. "They want to use our program as a model for the whole state." Emma accepts the news with characteristic grace, already thinking of next steps. At 15, she's become someone extraordinary, equally comfortable in corporate boardrooms and fire stations, always leading with heart. Jack's radio crackles. A routine call, nothing serious. Emma immediately moves to the dispatch board, updating their status. She can't ride calls yet, but she's learning every aspect of station operations, preparing for the day she can. "Go," she tells Jack with a smile. "I'll handle things here." As Jack heads for the truck, he catches a glimpse of their reflection in the station window, father and daughter in matching uniforms, Sarah's legacy alive in their shared sense of purpose. The scared girl he carried from the fire a year ago has become his partner in building something remarkable. The portrait watches over the station, but it's not just an image of family. It's a promise kept, a vision realized, a future unfolding exactly as Sarah hoped it would. In saving each other, they found a way to help save others too. Emma's voice carries across the station as she continues the equipment demonstration, confident and clear. "Every life matters. That's what my parents taught me. And that's what this foundation is all about." Jack pauses at the truck, watching his daughter in her element. She catches his eye and nods, their private signal that everything's okay, that they're exactly where they're meant to be. 1 year after fate and fire brought them back together, they've built something even stronger than Sarah dreamed possible. They've built a legacy of service, of protection, of family that extends far beyond blood. And somewhere, Jack knows, Sarah is smiling.